Sunday's game between New York.
Bill Hewett. Come on up.
Hello, Jack. How are you tonight?
Boy, it's great and it's good to have you with us. You know, it seems almost like old times. You and I being on the same bandstand. Oh, boy.
Been there many times.
Yes, we have, and we've had a lot of fun. At least I have. I hope you have.
Yeah.
You now have the champions, as I recall, and I refer to the Pascal High School Stage Band. And I've heard some of these things that you boys do, and they're too much.
Well, thank you, Jack.
So you tell me all about what's going on here, and incidentally, let me say this for our listening audience. Portions of this program, too, will be recorded because of our inability in our studio at the moment to take care of a band the size of the Pascal High School Stage Band. Consequently, we will use tape and then present the soloists that appeared in that tape. Now, Phil, tell us a little bit about the origin of the band and what it's been doing, where it's gone, where it's been, and your plans for it. Would you do that?
Okay, Jack. Thank you very much. The Pascal High School Stage Band has been in existence for 5 years. It was started in 1962 with the idea that we could give the students at Pascal that are interested in the band program a chance to learn to play jazz, and our program is set up in the form of a laboratory workshop for jazz. Of course, this was pioneered mainly by North Texas State University on the university level, and 5 years ago there were approximately 1,000 high schools in the United States that had this program, and this past year the National Educators Survey showed that there are 12,500 high school stage bands, so it is a very rapidly growing part of a school program. Our stage band at Pascal, we feel, has been very successful. We started off our program 5 years ago with $10 for music and a lot of interested students.
$10, that won't even buy a stock arrangement these days.
And then we've progressed, and the biggest achievement that we had, the first really big thing that we did, was we won the national championship the third year. And this was really kind of unbelievable, and we were very surprised, of course, to win it. We competed against 212 bands from 42 different states, and were chosen the #1 band. And this, of course, was a great honor for Pascal and for Fort Worth and for Texas, because it was the first time that any Texas band had ever won.
Well, they deserve to win.
Then,
heard the band that year.
Well, thank you. Then last year, we did something that no one else has been able to do. We repeated. And last year, with Doc Sevenson as the chief judge, we managed to win the national championship for the second time in a row.
And that is something, and that's a one-time thing, as I recall. It has never been done before.
There's never been a band win it 2 years in a row.
One question I wanted to ask you, Phil. You refer, of course, to the stage band as a jazz band. For our listeners now, of course, in musicians' lingo, why, we understand what you're saying, but I know, for instance, that the Pascal Stage Band is highly capable of doing commercial-type arrangements, and some of the things that you do, even though they may be a little modern in concept, are still commercial. And I'd like to sort of separate that in our listeners' minds from the standpoint of jazz as the layman understands the word jazz. Do you agree with that?
Well, that's the reason why I said laboratory workshop, because in the process of the year, we try to give the students an opportunity to play the several different styles that would come under the term of jazz. Really and truly, I think if you were to pick a special kind of thing for us at Pascal, we would have to say that we have a big band sound similar to perhaps Count Basie or Woody Herman or something along this line. This is our biggest sound, our biggest style, so to speak.
Well, I'll tell you, well, let's just prove that point right here and now. Let's hear some of this big band sound, because incidentally, as you know, I love that big band sound, and of course, I've always been partial to Basie and the others that you've named. So, what do you say we get into it?
Fine.
Somebody's got to be kidding. Somebody's got to be kidding. This trumpet man, he just scared me to death. What was that last note he hit, Phil?
Well, it was, I guess you'd say we were trying to get him the space age. He was up there.
Up there?
Yeah.
Where does the flute come in? I mean...
We have a very fine trumpet section. We were very fortunate at Paschal this year to have 6 very fine trumpet players. And the top man that is very fine is just a junior. His name is John Thomas.
John Thomas. Any relation to the illustrious Don Thomas?
His boy.
Oh, well, that explains everything. That explains everything. Who were all the soloists on that record?
The solos, in the order of their appearance on the tape, were Danny Carpenter on alto sax, Chris France on trombone, John Thomas on trumpet, Randy Lee on tenor, Mark Boehm on trombone, Preston Thomas on vibes, and Terry Norman on drums. The tape that you just heard is from the state contest that was held 2 weeks ago, which we managed to win the state championship.
Well, you know, Phil, you and I have been in this business for a long time. There's an old cliche among musicians that when a band is this great, somebody always stands up and says, well, when does the bus leave? So tell me, when does the bus leave?
The bus leaves for Washington, D.C. on April the 3rd. And this is a big trip for us, and we're really looking forward to it.
I understand that you had a good word today from Washington. Would you care to tell us about this?
Yes, we have been lining up a lot of things while we're in Washington, and we have many nice things for the students to see, and of course the many fine sights. And one of the things that we felt would be just kind of a topping on the cake, if it would be at all possible for us to have a conducted tour of the White House with the President. And we received word today that this has been arranged.
Well, how about that? How about that? Well, I'll tell you, good things should come to this group, really.
Well, thank you. Now,
Phil, tell me something else here before we go any further. Who did that arrangement? You said before we played the tape that it was reminiscent of Basie and so forth and so on, but now who did that arrangement?
The arrangement was done by a very fine local musician who's working in a music store now, has been a former band director. His name is Ken Harris.
Ken Harris.
And he plays professionally around Fort Worth.
He writes professionally, too.
He does a tremendous job.
Tremendous is absolutely right. Tell you what, we're going to back off just a minute and call Tom in here for a station break.
Fine.
Thank you, Jack. We just want to remind everyone that they're tuned to KFWT Stereo in Fort Worth, listening to Fort Worth Showcase. Jack?
Thank you, Tom. And now back to Phil Hewett. And, well, I'll tell you what, we could chit-chat all night long, and I could discuss the caliber of this band and do nothing but praise it for a long time. But let's get into the next tune. What's coming up next, Phil?
The next tune is